Good day, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Live with Omar Moore. It is Saturday. I do hope you're well. I do hope that things are going well for you. Obviously, we now have more news of another fatal shooting, aka execution. And this time it's Alex Jeffrey Pretty, Pretti, according to the Minneapolis Star Tribune. He's been killed today by one of these ICE agents or Border Patrol agents. And there's video of this going around online that is a warning's been given as to how graphic the video is. I have refused to watch it. I don't know if you've seen it, but from what I was reading on the accounts online with people who, were witnesses and things of that nature, these agents surrounded him, threw him down to the ground, and shot him not once, but multiple times. That's what the accounts have been saying from eyewitnesses. White man, 37 years old, was enrolled in the University of Minnesota. No serious criminal history, according to the Star Tribune in Minneapolis. No serious criminal history at all. Had a few parking tickets. But really, in the end, it doesn't matter whether he had a serious criminal history or not. It really doesn't. He's a human being, and he, like anyone else, should not be gunned down in the street. That is not de-escalation. It's murder, it's execution. So there's no doubt about this now. Not be under any illusion that the Trump regime wants you to fight back and be violent. That's what they want. They want that in Minnesota. They want it all over the country. And they want it so that you cannot do this in November. That's what this is all leading to, ultimately, is so that you are so afraid that you don't go to the ballot box and do this. You don't vote. That's ultimately where I think this is leading to. They're going to probably end up this November having ICE agents patrolling precincts in Democratic cities, in black and brown cities, and quite frankly, in some white cities. We're already seeing it now. Minnesota is a state as white as it gets. And this guy has shown that he doesn't give a damn about anybody. I think it's obvious that he doesn't. So obviously this is a horrible shooting. There's supposed to be a press conference. I checked before I went on. It was supposed to have already started with Greg Bavino, everybody's favorite, or not everybody's favorite, the cosplayer of them all. Is supposed to be holding a press conference around this shooting, this fatal shooting. Obviously, I've not looked at the video. I refuse. And then the governor, Tim Walz of Minnesota, is scheduled to have a press conference coming up. Let me get the times exact here. It's supposed to be local time around 1:30 local time, Central Time in Minnesota, which would be, again, 1:30 p.m. Central. So that's coming up as well in the next, just over an hour, something like that. Maybe just under an hour from now. Bovino's supposed to be talking. There's been a press conference already held by the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, and the police commissioner, Brian O'Hara. They are beyond pissed off, obviously. This is a really testing time, to say the least. And I know it seems insane to say it, but we've got to remain peaceful. They are totally trying to bait people into committing violent acts. The New York Times today did a very, very good story, a video essay, a video compilation of all of the aggressive things that ICE have done over the last couple of weeks in Minneapolis and parts beyond in the state of Minnesota. And some of the video is they're just running around and randomly pepper spraying people, randomly throwing people to the ground, randomly just smashing people's windows. This is, what are they trying to do? Replicate Kristallnacht? This is just absolutely insane and evil. And we have to vote. We have to protest. We have to protest peacefully. And we need to hold our elected officials to account. There's supposed to be a vote in the Senate next week regarding more funding for ICE. Now, we've already had a House vote this week where there were people from the Democratic side of the House, I believe, who joined in with the Republicans voting for more funding for ICE. ICE has already been given alone something like $80 billion and a total of DHS funding of roughly $180 million or $180 billion, whatever the heck it was. Why did ICE need more money? This is really an obscenity. And you can see now that this police state and this fascist state is only going to get worse. We must peacefully protest. We need to be in the streets everywhere, peacefully en masse. And we need to be forcing our elected officials to wake the hell up and to actually get on the record and stand against this evil. No more strongly worded letters. We need to be withholding all of these nominees in all of these Senate committees and House committees, the Senate committees certainly, withhold the nominations of this Trump regime for these ICE officers or anything else. Withhold the office. Withhold your vote. Don't allow these things to come up. Don't even have a committee around it. Democrats need to stay away from there and be very strict on this. Don't do it because you're playing into these people's hands. And the idea that Schumer or anybody else would be even floating the idea of supporting ICE with more money is downright despicable. So we really need to keep our eyes open and keep focused. And we have to continue to peacefully protest. And we must continue to hold our elected officials accountable. This is the time for us to contact local officials or certainly officials, our Congress people, whether locally or whether, our federal Congress people and our U.S. senators, and ask these people where they stand on all of this with ICE. I don't care whether they're Democratic senators or Republican senators. We need to be calling them. We need to let them hear from us. They need to be hearing from us. And we need to hold their feet to the fire. You've got Democrats running for Senate, of course, this year. You've got some Republicans doing the same. Whichever state you're in, I don't care if it's a so-called red state or a so-called blue state. These officials have to hear from us, and Tim Walz is going to, again, have his press conference scheduled according to the Minneapolis Star Tribune, according to them, 1:30 p.m. Central Time today. Again, that's roughly in 45 minutes or less. Also, I want to remind you of one other thing. Thank you very much for joining here. I'm going to be much more brief than usual, but I do want to thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe. It's a pleasure to have you here. The other thing I want to keep you reminded of today is that there is the first debate in the Democratic primary between the two principal Democratic candidates for the Senate in Texas, for the U.S. Senate. That would be Jasmine Crockett, and that would be the state representative of Texas, James Tallarico. Of course, Jasmine Crockett obviously is a congresswoman in the House of Representatives. So they are having their debate today at 2 p.m. Central Time, which that is in just over an hour or so. And that would be 3 p.m. Eastern Time. That would be 12 p.m. Pacific Time. So just want to remind you of that. It's streaming. I've retweeted, or I should say restacked, the information and the link to where you can watch it if you want to watch it live, coming up again at 2 p.m. Central Time, which again is 3 p.m. Eastern and 12 p.m. Pacific. You can look in my my Substack here, and you'll see it. It's been restacked, and also there are other places you can stream it live as well. I expect that it will probably be on C-SPAN as well, the C-SPAN network, cspan.c-span.org, or if you get C-SPAN on your television or on your cell phone or something, I expect that it will be surely on one of those channels. But if not, definitely on the stream that I retweeted or restacked, I should say, it will be on there. And I'm sure you can also look it up on YouTube. It will probably be somewhere on YouTube as well. So don't forget to watch that today. Again, the time of that debate scheduled to begin at 2 p.m. Central Time today. It's the first of the debates between Representative Jasmine Crockett and the Texas State Representative James Tallarico. It'll be very interesting to see how that debate goes. Be looking forward to that coming up at 2 p.m. Central Time today. Now, there's a lot going on today. Of course, I've already told you about the press conference that the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, and the police chief of Minneapolis, Brian O'Hara, had. That was just over half an hour or so ago. I think they just finished that up around the bottom of the hour. Of this hour that we're presently in. And they obviously had some sharp words clearly for ICE. Governor Walz has already, according to the Minneapolis Star Tribune, called for the immediate cessation of these operations in Minneapolis and in Minnesota at large. Now, of course, Donald Trump most likely is not going to listen to that. The Supreme Court, I think, needs to be heard from. I mean, we already know where they're going. And we already know what they've done, but they need to be heard from. And thank you, Stuart, for your kind words. Good to be with you as well. Thank you, Stuart. But everybody needs to be heard from, but they also need to hear from us. You know, we've got to pressure these Democrats. You've got to call these Republicans as well. You know, all of these Republicans in the House, they're up for re-election. All of them. If you're in a place, in a district or in a state with Republican governors and Republican politicians, particularly if you're in a district that's represented by a Republican House member or senator or whatever, you need to contact their offices and let them know where you stand and find out from them where they stand on these things, whether they're Democrats, Republicans, I don't care. We need to be heard from. We need to be heard from in the streets peacefully. Again, as I said earlier, the New York Times did I think a very good compilation of a number of videos that they were sent by bystanders and eyewitnesses that showed these people are outright Gestapo. They are just literally pulling people out of cars. One video, and I'll post it after I finish with this Substack here in a few moments. One video literally shows somebody saying, "Why are you asking me for my ID?" And the ICE agent says, "Because of your accent." I mean, right there, that's a violation of all kinds of amendments in the Constitution. Certainly the 14th, certainly the 1st, and certainly the 4th. They promptly smashed him up against a garage door or something, door of his house, handcuffed him. Then they eventually let him go. Happened to be a U.S. citizen. Again, the fact that they're citizens or not citizens, to me, does not matter. It's about human beings and the way they are being treated by these people who have no legal right to do what they're doing. They have no legal right to knock down your home, knock down your front door. You know, these administrative warrants, they really don't have any legal weight because you're supposed to have a judicial warrant. And only when there is a judicial warrant are you mandated to open your door. That's the only way. Administrative warrants are written literally by people in an administration, hence the term administrative warrants. So if you've got ICE, which belongs to the Department of Homeland Security, and they're issuing an administrative warrant, that warrant has literally been written by an ICE official or a Department of Homeland Security official. That's literally what the warrant is. It doesn't have any legal effect. That's like some mayor writing out some proclamation. It's outside of the scope of the court of law, is what I'm saying. Whenever you have an administrative warrant, it doesn't have the weight of the court of law, i.e., it doesn't have a judge's signature on it. And the only thing that does when it comes to warrants is a judicial warrant. And it's called that because it's a judge that's been consulted, and he or she has put their John Hancock on it, and that is a legally binding warrant. And so there's a memo floating around, you might have read it, where literally there's a 10-page memo by some ICE official that says, maybe an ICE attorney or whomever, that says that, oh, ICE has the right to just come into your house without a warrant, without a judicial warrant. And it's just not true. And these courts, and I know there have been lots of lawsuits flying around the state of Minnesota, the Minneapolis, as well as has put in a lawsuit against all this stuff. But these courts need to decide this stuff quickly. And that's the other thing, is that the rule of law and the wheels of the legal process really do grind to a halt when people want them to, namely the regime. And thank you. Hello to you, Arlene, as well. Thank you for being here as well. That's what happens when the rule of law and the wheels of the court of law grind to a halt like that. These things need to be expedited. They do. The Supreme Court has no problem at all in granting temporary stays when the Trump regime wants it to. Oh yeah, that Johnny on the spot. And the six fascists, they say, how high do you want us to jump, boss? And they jump to it. They hop too. But these lawsuits now that are winding their way through federal courts, we need immediate action on those, because people are literally losing their lives. They're having their lives taken from them. They're being executed. And I do hope, and the final thing I'll say, and thank you very much for watching, I really do hope that people now see what's going on in this country. The people who didn't vote, the people who did vote, the people who voted for this regime, the people who stayed home, and the 90 million of you who did stay at home, you also voted for this regime, and you voted for this. You did. Because if this guy telling you what he was going to do didn't give you a sense of urgency to get to the ballot box, knowing what he was going to do, you also voted for this too. The 90 million of you, 90 million of you who stayed at home also voted for this. So I would say that the Trump regime had 166 million votes to our 76 million. Really, this notion that the election was not close. I mean, was close. Excuse me. The election was close, but in other ways it wasn't, because literally 90 million people who were registered to vote and eligible to vote made a decision not to. So you really have 166 million people or so who approved of this. And I really do hope, and that's why I'm going to start talking a lot more about voting here over the next few days and weeks on these lives when I'm not busy as hell, so that I can actually do them. This is one of the, in fact, I really don't even, I've got a couple of things I've really got to get to and get to it, hop to it quickly. The point I'm trying to make is I really do hope that people see this now, what's happening. I'm not even going to watch this new video that apparently is very graphic, showing the shooting of this second person today, this person today, who is now the third person to be shot, as much as we know, in Minneapolis over the last 3 weeks, and the second to be killed in that space of time. And again, both of these shootings, and I haven't watched the second video, but from eyewitness accounts, appear to be completely unjustified. What's more problematic about this shooting today is, apparently, according to eyewitnesses, again, I haven't seen the video, this man was unarmed, apparently, allegedly unarmed. Open carry state, Minnesota, by the way. Allegedly unarmed, was thrown to the ground, and on the ground was shot multiple times. Multiple times. There's photos of the gun that he allegedly had, if he did have it. Again, this is all the propagandizing and trying to decide the case and be judge, jury, and executioner, literally, before we have all the facts. I've not seen the video. I don't have any desire to see it anytime soon. These kinds of things are traumatizing for anybody. We are living in a very violent country and a violent culture, a country that has more guns in it than people. If you want to look at leadership, you've got to look north of the border. You know, Mark Carney's speech the other day um, could have been a speech that JFK gave at 1960 at American University. If you want to go back to a speech, go and watch Mark Carney's speech. I'm going to actually put that speech up in the Politicrat podcast coming up in the next few hours. But that speech is out there online. You should watch that speech. It's about half an hour long or 20 minutes long. That speech could have actually been given by John F. Kennedy. I thought of JFK back in 1960 at American University. And now I'm seeing in the comments, Arlene writes, I saw the video. I saw it. And Marnie has said, I too did see the video and it was horrific. So we now have two people, and thank you all for watching this, whether you're watching it live, whether you're watching it later, who have said they've seen the video. Horrific video of this 37-year-old man, apparently unarmed or allegedly unarmed, shot to death. And again, even if he had a gun, the question in an open carry state, the question becomes, did he threaten the officers? Did he point the gun at the officers? If he had a gun, because again, I didn't see the video. But what you're seeing now is what you've seen a lot from this regime. Try to be judge, jury, and literally executioner. Then they post the photos online, posting a picture of a gun online. We don't know if that's his gun or not. I haven't seen it. People in here have. We don't know if it's his gun. We don't know whose it is. We don't know if it was planted. We don't know anything. It's an open carry state. And damn, if a white man can't carry a gun if a white man can't carry a gun in an open carry state without being shot down dead, come on now. I mean, those are the questions that we're going to have to raise about this. And frankly, one other thing I want to say, at some point, there needs to be much more decisive action from the governor. I understand he's got a lot he's got to deal with, but he really has to lead. And he has to be really forceful. I know that I've read about operations being conducted, that he's trying to do some state of emergency or something, whatever he's doing. Arlene is saying in the chat that there were 9 shots. Marnie has added that, plus Marnie writes that there were like 7 ICE Starpo officers on him. I mean, again, if these things are accurate, this is deeply troubling. And I'm not disputing the accounts of Arlene or Marnie at all. They saw the video, I didn't. So I'm at a disadvantage. I chose not to watch it. I can't even talk. I might end up watching this video later on today. But right now, I am not in the mood to be watching these things. I am fed up of a police state. This police state has existed for 400 years. You're seeing really the enslavement patrols. It's not just Gestapo. This is enslavement patrols that this whole policing notion was founded upon from 400 years ago. And now they're coming to white people en masse. That's what's happening. We've seen this before where you have white people being shot down, whether it was at Kent State, that was Ohio National Guard. J.D. Vance's state, May 4th, 1970. We've seen this with Viola Luiso in Alabama and down south there in Mississippi, I believe it was, in 1965. This stuff this has never gone away, and black folk, we face the brunt of this, obviously. But we've seen this before with white people being shot down and killed. We saw this with Justine Demond in this state, by a police officer in this state. This has been going on forever. And black folk, we have been terrorized like this for 400 years, blown away like this, no investigations. You can better believe there'll be no investigation again of this young man being shot down. We have to all wake up here and we have to be peaceful, but we have to demand more from our elected officials. Hell, I'd be calling Tim Walz's office. I don't know he's having a press conference at 1:30 p.m. Central Time, according to the Minneapolis Star Tribune. But I'd be calling his office. No more strongly worded letters. No more press conferences. Get to stepping, folks. Come on, elected officials. If you can't defend your cities, I mean, the people are behaving in a much, much better way right now than the average elected official is. And that's not to say that there aren't people who aren't doing things in Congress and all the rest, but the Democrats have very limited power in Congress. And when we have power in the Senate, especially, we don't use it properly. We have to vote. We have to register to vote. We have to vote in the primaries. We have to vote locally. We have to vote in every way in our jurisdictions as eligible registered voters. We've got to be registered. We've got to vote. We've got to know what the laws are in our states. We have to know what the ID requirements are in some states. We've got to be clear, depending on where we are, what the situation is. We have to have a plan to vote. I'm going to be talking about this and a lot more in detail in the next few, days on the podcast as well. The Politicrat. Please subscribe to that. Please subscribe to this live, to this Substack. And as Leanna says, and as everyone said, we have to do more. We all have to do more. I put up a quote from Ella Wheeler Wilcox back in the 1800s. I think she said this, and I'm paraphrasing it or trying to do this verbatim. To sin in silence when we should protest makes cowards out of men, and we cannot be silent here. Not everyone can get out, and not everyone is physically able to go out and protest and go out and do a march. I understand that. But you have an ability, surely, to make a phone call, to text, to write an email, or have someone do that for you, to post on your social media channel what is going on and how you feel about it, and educating people. We all have a part to play. We all must do something. Leanna's 100% correct. And we have to put heat on these Democrats. This is an election year. It's a big-ass election year. This is the midterms. We have to absolutely, Leanna is on the right track here. I mean, everyone who's spoken up has said some really valid and important things. We have to continue to act in the tradition of Dr. King. And I talked about this before, and Leanna is quite right. Bring help to people. Bring food to people. If you're in Minneapolis, do that. If you're not in Minneapolis, try to do that somehow. Whether you can send, if there's a way you can ship some goods over to people in Minneapolis, people in need in Minneapolis, to protesters. Don Lemon was in Minneapolis, of course, this past Sunday. He was doing a lot of that on the ground. If you can't be in Minneapolis, try to find a way to, mail things off, whatever you can do. Write letters of support, whatever it is. Maine, they're doing the same thing in Maine. And if you think they're not going to go to other cities, you're mistaken. They're totally going to do that. And this, again, is to get ahead of the midterms and to scare enough people out of voting. It is in my view, a violent voter suppression tactic. That's what it is. People are frightened, fearful. American citizens are going to be fearful to go and vote. Donald Trump wants to get rid of mail-in voting as well. So, okay, you don't want to go to the ballot box? Oh, I can mail in my ballot. Oh, we've changed the rules. We want you to have the postmark before. And we want before election night, and we want the mail to get to the voting booth no later than election night. They're trying all kinds of things, and we have to remain peaceful. We had Dr. King's holiday this past Monday, and we have to stay in the tradition of King. Every generation has its moment, and this is ours. This is clearly ours. Mark Carney told you. What a contrast. We have to be educated. We have to know our rights. We have to know the Constitution. We have to be able to de-escalate when these Gestapo are not de-escalating. We have to remain nonviolent. And Dr. King and the movement from before, and Mahatma Gandhi before that, have issued us templates to deal with these things. At lunch counters, what happened? Black folk sat there, and what were white people doing? Throwing hot coffee on us, throwing ketchup on us, throwing tea at us, throwing all kinds of things on us. We need to be doing all of these things, and thank you, Leanna. Really appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone who's watching. And Marnie is quite right. Marnie writes, call Congress members too, flood their phone lines. That's exactly what I said a little bit earlier. But Marnie, you're absolutely right. We have to be calling our local officials, our elected officials, especially those in Congress. Demand from them absolute action. Speak up and speak out and act. That's what the local and elected officials must do. They have to act. Schumer, all these people who are doing nothing at the moment. Jeffries, pathetic. Schumer, pathetic. You need to be contacting them, though, and let them know how you feel, and remind them that there is a big-ass midterm election this year, and we cannot afford to play the fool. Democrats cannot be lapdogs anymore. Enough of the lapdog status. It cannot only be Jasmine Crockett, and only AOC, and only Ayanna Pressley, and only Rashida Tlaib, and only Ilhan Omar, and only a few other people. All of the Democratic members of Congress need to open their mouths and say and actually do something, and call these Republicans as well. They know that this is wrong. We need to be organized, and we need to be strategic. We need to be strategic, okay? Because we may get a candidate that we don't like who is the Democratic nominee in 2028. We may not like that person very much, but if that's the person who's the nominee, what are you going to do? Stay home? Or are you going to vote for that person? A lot of us have issues with certain candidates, like the governor of this very state, right? But if he becomes a Democratic nominee in 2028, what are you going to do? Are you going to not vote for him? Are you going to vote third party? Are you going to stay home like the 90 million people did in 2024? See, that's the other thing. Strategy. We have emotions and feelings, and we must have them. We must be in touch with our feelings and emotions. It's very important. However, we also have to vote strategically, and we have to have a very strategic plan about how we deal with what's happening in Minneapolis, what's happened in Chicago, LA, Maine, in Portland, Oregon. We need to be absolutely strategic. We have to be on the phones. I totally agree. 202-224-3121. 202-225-3121. Those are two numbers for the DC Congressional Switchboard. And then, of course, you can easily get the individual phone numbers for the offices of the people that you want to call. And I'm going to briefly put this in here now in the chat before I do head off here and say goodbye, because this is very, very important, right? It's got to be peaceful. It's got to be nonviolent. And it's so good to see you all here. Remember, I want to say this. You have the power to make a difference. And each and every one of us has much more power than we think. I really want you to understand that you have the power here. And I want you to know that. Okay? So do not give up. It's a horrible time. It's going to get worse, sadly. But we have to keep going. You are a difference maker. You have the power. You do. Every single one of us does. We have the Constitution and the law on our side. There are some elected officials who are fighting, but you know what we also have? Each other. We may not agree on everything, but we agree that this is wrong, what is happening. And our consciences tell us that, and our humanity tells us that, right? So let's do the things that are humane. Let's remain peaceful always. Let's remain confident, and let's get out there and peacefully protest and do the work and register people to vote and call your Congress people. Please. This is the day to do it. Again, last reminder, there is the debate today at 2 p.m. Central between Jasmine Crockett, the representative out of Texas, the 30th District, and James Tallarico, the state representative in Texas. That's at 2 p.m. Central Time today. I have on my Substack put out a link to that, which you can see if you want. You can retweet that, resubstack it, whatever. That link will have the debate on it. There are lots of other places, I'm sure, where you can get this debate, so please watch it. Again, at 1:30 p.m. Central Time, before that, half hour before that debate, 1:30 Central is scheduled, according to the Star Tribune in Minneapolis, the press conference for the governor of Minnesota. That would be Governor Walz. That's at 1:30 p.m. Central. At 2 p.m. Central, it is the debate between Crockett and Tallarico. A lot going on. Bavino is out there talking a lot of nonsense, I'm sure, with his press conference that I think is actually ongoing now or about to. Not really interested in what Bavino has to say about a damn thing. But I am interested in what the governor has to say at 1:30 p.m. Central, and certainly interested in the debate today between Crockett and Tallarico in the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate in Texas. That is at 2 p.m. Central. Thank you very much, everybody. Please read my most latest Substack. That would be on Sinners and the Oscars and Diversity campaign, spearheaded by the one and only brilliant Cheryl Boone Isaacs, who, of course, used to be the president of the Academy, the only black president the Academy has ever had. She's a wonderful human being. And I really do sing her praises for all the work she did over 10 years to get us to the moment that we got to on Thursday regarding that film. Now, of course, that's a different story from what we're talking about. Obviously, what's going on is far more pressing. But the bottom line is that I hope you do watch Sinners. I hope you have watched it. If you haven't, please do. Very important film. I think there's a lot in that film that you really should take a look at. But anyway, that's that. But as for now, please continue to take home this message. You have the power, all right? And you have the Constitution, you have the law on your side, and you have the conscience and humanity on your side. So keep going with that. Do not give up. Do not give in. Remain peaceful always, and call your congressmen and your senators, for God's sakes. Please do that and enjoy the debate today at 2 p.m. Central and at 1:30 p.m. Central. Tune in for that press conference with Governor Walz. I'm sure that is going to be all over the place. I'm sure it'll be on live television as well. And Leanna is absolutely right. A masterpiece film. Leanna, thank you for your comments. Marnie, thank you. Arlene, thank you. And everyone else who's commented today, a pleasure having you here. I'll do this again someday when I'm not, when I have the time. I'll do another one of these lives again. Take care, everyone. Please subscribe here. Be a paid subscriber if you wish, or an unpaid free subscriber. Either one of those things really counts. Whatever you can do is greatly appreciated by yours truly. And again, don't forget to vote, register people to vote, and don't forget the midterms, and certainly before that, the primaries, and get engaged, please. Take care now. Have a good rest of your day.